We're willing to do concrete measures overall, but I think it's, for our perspective, it's to talk about boots on the ground because we don't have a ceasefire. We're willing to do concrete measures overall, but I think it's, for our perspective, it's too early to talk about boots on the ground because we don't have a ceasefire, we don't have a peace process, and you also have to remember that Finland has 1,340 kilometers of border with Russia, so we take care of the northern flanks, but there's so many different ways that we can help out, and I'm really glad that we're seeing strong leadership coming from the UK.
But in what concrete ways are you willing to help out if, as you say, it's too early to talk about actually troops being part of peace efforts?
Well, there are two phases here. The first one is the military planning, which is going on right now, and it'll continue actually in London on Thursday. And then after that, once we have a clear plan, we start doing the commitments. But there are anywhere from zero about boots on the ground is only one way. You know, you can talk about intelligence, you can talk about different types of things, but it's too early to commit right now.
Can you see any signs that Vladimir Putin is actually willing to enter into serious negotiations? President Zelensky says Putin's afraid to tell Donald Trump that he wants to carry on with the war. What chances are, do you think, that the Kremlin is paying a blind bit of attention to any of this?
I think the chances are abysmal. I don't think Putin wants a ceasefire. Putin doesn't want a peace. His original aim was basically to destroy the independence, sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine, basically to have Ukraine ceasing to exist. He hasn't changed his aim, and this is what all of us around the table have to understand. That's why we have to maximize the pressure on Putin, which means more sanctions, which means using the frozen assets, and which actually means militarizing Ukraine to the teeth.
So if the chances are abysmal, to use your phrase, that President Putin wants to actually take anything seriously here, is he just playing Donald Trump? Because Donald Trump seems to think he can get him to the table. So is he being taken for a ride?
Don't underestimate the capacity of the President of the United States, Donald Trump, to negotiate a deal. I'm sure many things will happen in the coming days, and I'm sure that we'll be moving in the right direction. I don't think Putin should be playing with Trump. That's, I think, quite self-evident. We're willing to do concrete measures overall, but I think it's, for our perspective, it's too early to talk about boots on the ground because we don't have a ceasefire, we don't have a peace process, and you also have to remember that Finland has 1,340 kilometers of border with Russia, so we take care of the northern flanks, but there's so many different ways that we can help out, and I'm really glad that we're seeing strong leadership coming from the UK.
But in what concrete ways are you willing to help out if, as you say, it's too early to talk about actually troops being...
That is the 21st day of March 2025. So he will be going to face Justice Omotosho. Yeah, that is the name of the new judge assigned to Nnamdi Kanu. Now, one of the most controversial cases I've ever seen, okay? Well, I don't too much pay attention to the legal proceedings of other countries. But as far as I'm concerned, to the best of my knowledge, Nnamdi Kanu's trial is one of the most controversial cases I have ever seen. Because the federal government of Nigeria, they have done what they are not supposed to do, but kidnapping him. And the worst thing is that the same Supreme Court of that country has faulted government for doing all these things, so many things they did against Nnamdi Kanu. So everywhere many lawyers are speaking forth because of the upcoming case, but that will not change what is going to happen. So what is going to happen will happen because it is between the judge and what the judge knows and what influences the judge and what the judge wants to do. It is all about it, okay? So when I mean what influences the judge, it could be the federal government, it could be other forces, okay? Then it depends if the judge will do what is right or not. So I don't even have any probability of saying this will happen or that will happen. It's just to the, determination of the judge. Now, why is it that so many lawyers are beginning to speak forth now? Again, because of this case. This is because it has become an international embarrassment, okay? It's an international embarrassment. A lot of international bodies, including the United Nations, has recommended the immediate release of Nnamdi Kanu, but yet nobody, cares to understand the consequences of the continuous incarceration of Nnamdi Kanu. Now, let us see what this lawyer is talking about. Now, it says, human rights lawyer Barrister Christopher Chidera has criticized the Nigerian government's decision to restart the prosecution of Nnamdi Kanu, the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, from scratch. He describes any attempt to prosecute Kanu under the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act of 2013 as legally indefensible, procedural improper, and morally unjustifiable. Now, if the federal government of Nigeria, for those of you that always say that the politicians are working to resolve this issue, they are working to do what is it called political solution and so on and so forth. The Nigerian government, they are not ready because of the influence above them and influence beyond them. Before, I told you people about the influence from the Southeast politicians who never wanted Nnamdi Kanu to come out. And the world knows, I'm sorry to say this, the world knows that Nnamdi Kanu is a dangerous secessionist. What I mean by that is that if Nnamdi Kanu is determined that he is going to lead Biafra to secession, or should I say a new recognition, because the country was declared before, before the civil war happened. If Nnamdi Kanu really wants to do that with the way he was going, he will achieve it and nothing can stop him. And that is why so many people from around the world, especially people who are benefiting from Nigeria, they tag Nnamdi Kanu a dangerous secessionist, a man who knows what to do about secession, a man who will not even carry a weapon against you, but you will see him as more dangerous than people who are carrying weapons. A man who can use his words to bring everything down, to stand still. So they see him as a very dangerous secessionist. And that is why Nigerian government, they are violating all the whole law, all the whole norms. Any law you can even come and think about. Nigerian government are violating it because of Nnamdi Kanu. Yeah. They are ready to paint their name black. They are ready to paint their name like this country is just a useless country, a shithole. They are ready to continue to violate the law because of just Nnamdi Kanu. But the question is, how long will they continue? Yes, that is the hope, because nothing lasts forever. Power will not also last forever. Let's continue to understand the position of this lawyer, Mr. Chidera. He says that Chidera urged the Tinubu administration to promptly engage in peaceful negotiation to resolve the matter amicably before midnight on Thursday, 28th March 2021. Why? Because on 21st is the date of the court proceeding. Okay. Now, he warned that failure to do so could lead to the exposure of high-profile corruption, systematic failure, and injustice within Nigeria's judicial system. Anyway, Nigeria, do they care? They don't care. They are bent to killing people who speak for people who are speaking for it. If you say the truth, they come after you. When the referral to me wrote about Nigeria, judicial system, the corruption in it, they came against him, the whole powers that, if not that people spoke and people stood for him, everybody rose up. That man could have been in detention up till now. Now, in a statement released over the weekend in Abuja, it was highlighted that Nnamdi Kanu case serves as a stark illustration of the vulnerabilities within the Nigerian legal and judicial system when faced with the relentless pursuit of justice and self-determination. The statement emphasized that the section of the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act of 2013, which the prosecution has relied upon, is no longer an active law in Nigeria. It further argued that attempting to proceed under a repeal status amount to a violation of the long-standing doctrine of stare decisis, a principle that upholds the consistency and integrity of the justice in common law system. Now, let me explain what these guys are saying, what this lawyer is saying. And that was what Tomo Yodeshewure said some time ago, that this Terrorism Amendment Act of 2013, something like that has been amended. The law they are using to charge him for this terrorism act when they shifted from treason does not exist. So the law is no longer existing, has been amended. So the issue of Nnamdi Kanu, everybody knows that it is not because of prosecution. They just want to keep him there. They just want to delay everything. They just want to see if this man could have change of mind, if we can weaken his morale, if we can make sure that this man does not, continue in high spirit that he is. But what they see every day is totally opposite. Because this same man they have been keeping to demoralize, he will come to court and show them that he is a liar. He will show them that, no, I'm not being deterred with what you people are doing. He will also come to show them that, listen, Life is life, death is death. People who are even dead are not better than people who are alive, because everyone living, even you watching me talking to you, we are all going to die. So that is another point where people who seriously understand this word systems, we all are going to die. So what is the essence of fear? Anyway, the article continues that it further argued that attempting to proceed under a repeal status amounts to a violation of the long-standing doctrine of shared. Okay, start this is, I've read that place. Okay, let me stop the article here because the article continues. Now, everybody understands what this man is saying, because just imagine the judicial rascality that was going on, or should I say court process rascality, where after a judge we said, okay, since the defendant don't trust me, I think I have the right to recuse myself according to the law. So after doing that, it becomes legal. Now they still go back to tell the woman, you must continue the case. So in every angle, every step that these people are taking, the world is seeing that these people are biased. These people, the process is fraudulent. Okay, the process of trying this man is fraudulent. And let's see what is going to happen on Friday. Thanks for listening.
Do you think your objective is achievable?
It is achievable because you would expect any dictatorial state, you would expect any backward banana republic, which Nigeria has become, to speak in exactly those terms. But what they have cleverly forgotten is that they are the instigators of separation. They are the ones making the polity ungovernable. They are the ones going about pillaging, killing, sacking villages and occupying them. They are the ones that have taken nepotism to a new and unbelievable level. They are the ones running Nigeria as if it is a private family business. They are the ones that have promised and sworn to bring Islam into Biafra land. They are the ones arming and equipping the 4 known terror groups you have in Nigeria to cause havoc and kill innocent people. We are not going to fold our hands and watch this continue to happen. The same set of circumstances obtained in 1966 when over 300,000 Biafrans were slaughtered in the north. That led to the declaration of the state of Biafra in 1967. This time around, we are far more prepared, far more knowledgeable, far more aware, and far more exposed to allow the same thing to happen to us again. They promised to Islamize and to colonize us, but we will not allow that to happen.
So let me ask you this. Recently, when Nigeria held elections, you made a proclamation about a support for one party or another. People said, if you want an independent state, why support a party to participate in an election that you don't believe in, that really undermines your objective of having an independent state of Biafra?
First of all, we are Democrats, and secondly, we did not advocate for the voting of any particular party. What we said very clearly is that the policies of APC, as championed by the cabal who are in charge in Abuja, is not sustainable and cannot be supported. We also wanted to demonstrate our ability to be flexible and more so to respond to the yearnings and aspirations of our elders who demanded and pleaded with us to allow the voting to go ahead. But what I can say to you is that voting in Nigeria, as you've well seen, thankfully you were there to observe it, is not only shambolic, but is an exercise in futility. Voting doesn't count in Nigeria. People voting in Nigeria is a wasted effort. All the ballot boxes, all the ballot papers, all the polling stations belonging to Biafrans in Lagos, for instance, Abuja, Kano, Kaduna, and Zaria, were all destroyed during the election day, rendering it absolutely useless. What they have said to us is that we do not belong to Nigeria, we are not part of Nigeria. It is even a worse form of apartheid than what obtained in South Africa. Those are the conditions we are being forced to live under. Where the circumstances allowed us to participate, of course, we said we're lifting the boycott, but as you can see, regardless of what you do, the outcome is always predetermined. The Fulanis in the north will always write the results, and the army will enforce it, and the court will rubber stamp it, and that's where we are today.
Does your cause entail in engaging with the government to achieve your objective, or does that also entail picking up arms against the administration or the state of Nigeria?
Not at all. We are averse to picking up arms. We are not interested in armed struggle. We believe that ideologically and intellectually that this war can be won, and won very convincingly. Therefore, there will be no recourse to armed conflict. But in terms of dialogue, you can't say no to discussing with people. If they want to discuss the terms of separation, we are more than willing to accommodate them. But one thing is obvious. We are not going to stop until Biafra is restored. Our approach of civil disobedience and making sure that nothing functions that will benefit the central government in Nigeria continues unabated. We don't intend to slacken. We don't intend to retreat any iota. And believe you me, that Biafra will come in the not too distant future. I'm very confident of that.
What does the state of Biafra mean for the people of the land?
It is the kingdom of heaven upon the face of this very earth. What we have seen and continue to see since the creation of Nigeria is a level of backwardness and regression which nobody ever envisaged. Not even those that fought the British for independence could have foreseen what Nigeria would become in some decades down the line. What you're seeing is a new level of what I call primitivity in governance, a new level of poverty, a new level of backwardness, a new level of what they have done, in essence, is to destroy every fabric that sustains any modern, viable democracy. By any stretch of the imagination, you couldn't possibly describe Nigeria as a civilized, viable country. All the places that I've been to, touring the world, speaking to policymakers and influencers, have led me to believe that no one has any hope that Nigeria will survive. And I can assure you, it will not survive. With this reign of terrorism, this brutal repression of free speech, this clampdown on the very core tenets of democracy, that there is no way that the Fulani template for Nigeria can survive the next 5 years. I do not envisage it.
Some people have said that what you are advocating invariably puts your supporters, and for that matter, the Igbo community, in danger, not only in Nigeria, but the rest of the world. How do you react to that?
We know that freedom is very expensive. We are here in the United States of America, where people fought and died and sacrificed their lives to sustain what is arguably the most civilized modern nation on the face of the earth. We recognize those sacrifices, and it is something that we're prepared to make. If ultimately, at the end of this very process, there is only one Biafran man and one Biafran woman left, we will make do with that. They can go ahead and procreate and create the future Biafra nation. What we must state very clearly is that nobody should underestimate our resolve. We are determined. My mother have just died as a result of this very effort. Many more have gone, and we are prepared to sacrifice whatever it takes to ensure that Biafra is restored. Because it's not just the hope of, say, the Biafrans themselves. Biafra will save other ethnic groups within Nigeria, and Biafra, I believe very strongly, is the beacon and the hope and the light of Africa. Once Biafra stands as an independent entity, believe you me, you will record development and progress within the wider Africa. But without Biafra, none of that will ever happen.
Some Igbo monarchs have petitioned or have requested and urged the government to allow you to come back home and give your mother, your deceased mother, a befitting burial. What is your stance on that?
My mother died as a result of the agitation for Biafra, and she made it very clear when she was alive that anything that I have to do to ensure that Biafra is restored is what I must do. And asking anybody to allow me to go back home to bury my mother is not part of that plan and is not part of that agreement. I have not asked anyone to speak to or lobby anybody on my behalf, and I will not, and I will not accept any, should it come across to me. What we are trying to say is this: I am not interested in going back to bury my mother, if that will entail the killing, disappearance, and extrajudicial torture, as they always do, against our people. We are not, I repeat, we are not going to do anything to jeopardize the lives of our people. But one thing is certain, that my mother will be buried. I may be there, I may not be there, but it will not come via the dictates or the permission of the Asarok cabal that currently run Nigeria.
Let me ask you this. Some of your critics are saying the advocate for the state of Biafra is inward looking, is tribalistic, as they said, or ethnic state, and that you are seeking the disintegration of Nigeria, which they said is unacceptable because it questions the territorial integrity of the state of Nigeria.
Who created Nigeria? The British. Are they Nigerians? Are the British people, are they Africans by any stretch of imagination? Is Frederick Lugard an African? What they're trying to say in essence is that because Nigeria was created by Frederick Lugard, somehow it confers upon it certain legitimacy which Nnamdi Kanu, as a black African man, is not entitled to question. That's what I'm saying. We keep forgetting that Nigeria is an artificial creation. It never existed until Lugard came. There was nothing called Nigeria before the British set their foot on that part of West Africa. Therefore, what we are trying to do is to return us to the basics, to the way we were before they came. Some people have argued, and I would say not very convincingly, that we should just move on from here. The only thing you can give a name and it bears that name is your pet, either your cat or your dog. By accepting the name Nigeria, what we have done in essence is to say we are not capable of creating a civilized society by ourselves and for our people. Are you telling me I can go to Europe and create a nation in Europe? Are you remotely suggesting that I can come to the United States of America, carve out perhaps the state of California, and then give them whatever name that I like? Does Nigeria even have a meaning? Nigeria is a nigger area. That is the meaning of it. It is a nigger, a place for niggers. That's the meaning of Nigeria. That is the appropriate pronunciation. Are you suggesting that we should adopt such a name for our people? Why can't Africans come together and give themselves the name that they feel that they deserve? Ghana was formerly called Gold Coast, and they changed it because the people took ownership of their destiny. Why can't something happen within Nigeria? Why? Let me tell you this. The only reason why people are apoplectic about Biafra when it's mentioned and our need for freedom is they fear for their well-being in terms of their access to oil and gas in Biafra land. All the resources that sustains Nigeria, that makes it the so-called giant of Africa, is located within Biafra. The oil and gas is within Biafra. The manpower is within Biafra. So when people talk about this fear of breaking up Nigeria, it is because they are afraid that they cannot survive on their own without access to oil and gas.
I'm not cutting you short, but we have an instance where South Sudan came out of Sudan, where Sudan lost approximately over 60% of its natural resources. It's now trying to jumpstart its economy and all that. Do you want that for Nigeria as a people, a country that has lasted for nearly 60-something years? Is this what you want for the people that you've grown up with, you went to school with, the country is still thriving, a bastion of commerce on the continent?
And by a kenekwenuno, the Consuelo Guno, Igabo Yabife, Nukwozito Kempa, Ejemakia, Webiani Rakuko, na Igbo media, boy by Siwene Terun Yabunukozi, Dio Kempa, Bastamaki Yenemino, but I know Nimia, and Bastamaka Morowendi Bonazo, and Bastamaka Mazen Nam de Canus ladies. Dikin Rayavan Naivakuni Rakuko, Kefi will you no donkey. Asigi woke if you were deep makana otako de banjo oya de kwanuma aguna otu munnem achom kunu tiela ya lonku ni fonu chere n'iru akwụkwọ ikucha ya bife kabaru share ya kurutu munna anyị ndị ọzọ ntị daro dị nenu munnem bo mo na-ege ntị anyị na-ekenu ndị nnekunu si na-eso ile anyị esi unu ngwa nke mesia n'ume Igbo.